Welcome back to the Huddle, your weekly playbook helping you gain forward progress in your flooring career. We're here to help you guys win. To our new viewers, welcome to the team. What's up, fellas?
How's it
What's up,
going?
Jorge?
How are you?
Nah.
How's everybody doing?
I'm good, man.
Good. Did you get sick after ties?
No. No, thankfully I didn't. I felt a
Good.
little something like it wanted to come on, and I just drank a lot of water and some hot lemon tea with garlic in it and cayenne, and I was good to go.
Well, you got
The vampire elixir.
you got the home remedy, and I got sick right before ties. In fact, I didn't know if I was going to make it, and then Jose was like, "Dude, you better get some menudo or some pozole right away."
Yep. That's usually for a
That's
hangover,
the cure all, bro.
yeah.
It's the pregame too, bro. You got to pregame with it too.
Well, I don't got to worry about that part, but I'll tell you what, I was really sick. So we got a little bit of echo going on. We're working on that in the background, guys. So welcome everybody, all four of us back from Tice. It was fantastic. I wanted to just give a quick rundown and see what your guys' key takeaways were, and then we'll move on to the topic, which is, how to move your side hustle if you're one of those DIYs that really pretty handy at the house, and you got that tile down, or you got the LVP, you've been putting in some rentals, and you want to move that to a career. We're going to kind of talk about turning your side hustle into a full-time gig. So first off, I wanted to say that was an awesome event. I don't know that I got around enough to see if it was as well attended. Did anybody get out and about, like past just Tool Alley and the competition to see? And what was your take?
I thought that. Go ahead,
sorry.
Jorge.
Well, I got to check out just usually the same people that I normally want to go visit. So I went to go see NC Products with their sewing machines and the people from Bond, just because I use their products all the time. So I wanted to just go say hi, but nobody specifically that I wanted to see this year. I think most of the people that I wanted to see, I went last year by their booth and just talked to them for a bit. So this year I stayed more in Tool Alley and just checked out more of the tools. Since it was closer by the booth, I couldn't leave the booth that much. So that was my thing. I didn't get to walk. Plus,
You were doing a lot of
it's tiring
training.
walking the whole thing sometimes.
You were doing some training.
Yeah, I was doing some of
demos
the
and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we're doing some seam prep on Wilton, and also hand sewing on Wilton and regular basic standard action back carpet. So that was fun. Had a lot of Spanish speaking individuals come by the booth, just asking questions. Some people had never seen those type of materials before, so they were very curious on how they were installed.
Did they participate, or was it just a
Yes,
demonstration?
There was a demonstration, and on the hand sewing, I had a couple of brave people that were like, you know what, let me go ahead, and it's really not. It wasn't me asking them like, hey, you want to try this out? It was more of them, hey, you know what, you think I could give it a try? And I had about 2 or 3 guys that gave it a quick try, and one guy stabbed himself with a needle, and
You're like,
so yeah, that wasn't good. But yeah, we all tend to, once you get tired or if your hands get a little sweaty, they needle tends to slip and you could stab yourself. So it's just getting used to the needle and the thread.
Yeah. What about you, Jose? Did you get out and?
No.
No, you sound terrible.
I bet I do.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Did you get out and about and get to see how well Tice was actually attended? It seemed busy. I guess what I'm getting at, it seemed busy, but they're typically like 30,000, 25, 30,000 people. It seemed like that is pretty close, but I know what you guys thought.
I thought it seemed busier last year. Like I was only there for that day.
The competition was busier this year for sure.
Yeah.
The competition was busier this year, and we got the privilege of doing some interviews. That was kind of fun. I was trying to play like a weatherman.
Can you guys hear me better now? Is that like I don't know what else to do here?
Come again?
So I don't know if you guys can hear me now. I don't know what else to do here. I'm trying to avoid the echo.
I can hear all of you,
And
all 4 of you.
fantastic.
I don't know if you can
That's why
maybe
it's like-
back up. Can you back up away from your computer? Like, I don't know where your brother and you are situated. But anyway, bear with us through the technical difficulties. If you hear 3 Jose's, you've probably heard worse things, so it's all right. He likes to repeat himself anyway, so this just kind of gives him a chance to do it all at one time.
Jorge and I went over there to
Good day, Kevin.
to
Good
Kevin's
day.
booth over there to Robert's QEP and seen some of their awesome tools. And
Yeah, Kevin
said,
was having
"What's
a
up to
good
this
time
guy?"
over there.
Yeah, Kevin knows how to put on a show.
Yeah,
He just got up on
he's
the.
the new Sam Bond.
He just got up on that little
He's
stage.
the new Sam Bondino or whatever his
Sam
name is.
Biondo?
Biondo, yeah. He always puts on the show.
I thought he was gonna grab the stretcher pole and start dancing.
He did.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So today's
No, but it was a good demo on him. He did a good demo with a power stretcher and a couple of his tools that he has. So he knows how to work up the crowd. That's for sure.
Yeah, I could tell he was having fun. All right, guys. If you are joining us live, thanks for the comments. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you again, my friend. And if you guys have any comments, chime in. This could be when you first got started. A lot of people in our industry kind of fall in love with it. I've heard 2 stories. Like you went to go work with your uncle for a weekend, and here you are 25 years later. And then it's like the guy that, did it at his house and just had a knack for it, gave it a shot and started getting better. And either one of you guys are welcome to chime in, whatever your background is. Let us know how you kind of got started. If you started with the side hustle and then turned it into a business. So I'm going to give my story super quick. I was working I was actually doing flooring. So I was already full-time gig by the hour, but then I started doing side jobs for a designer, and I still had no idea what I was doing, but it was wool carpet, and I somehow made it all work. And they liked my work and kept hiring me, I can tell you that. And kind of rolled that into doing the exact opposite type of work, which was some used to be base housing. Now it's kind of low income housing that's owned by like 4 people in the entire area. So like, say a couple thousand houses owned by like 4 people. So kind of a slumlord situ. And on one, I was charging a little over $9 a yard to install, labor only. The other, I was selling carpet, pad, demo, and labor for $9 a yard. So 2 total different spectrums. But I did turn that into what Stewart and Associates is today. I kept working at it, saved up. I paid myself a salary. I've told this story many a times. I paid myself a salary after making a pretty good yearly income the year before. When I quit my job and started my company, I just gave myself a $600 a week salary for a lot of years. I think 4 years before I gave myself any raise or bought a vehicle or done any of that. But so I just kind of lived off that salary and stocked up cash. And that's kind of how I started to the company. This is also for you guys who just want to get on a crew or go work for a flooring company or those kinds of things. So what do you think? That's kind of my story. I know your guys's are somewhat similar. I mean, you guys were working labor only and installing, and then turn that into a business, into a material full service business, I should say.
Yeah, it took us a few years to get to that point, But I think when you go on your own, what a lot of people don't realize is they want to go out on their own because they think that they'll have more free time. But when especially when it's just you or you and one other person, it's the exact opposite. You're working more than you ever had before in your life because you're just trying to get ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up, actually. Don't think you're going to get into starting a business. Now, this isn't for everybody, because this podcast is really about, like, you're doing a side hustle. Maybe you work at a factory and you're doing some kitchens on the weekend or some backsplashes, and you want to know how to turn that into a full-time gig because you really love it. But also going in, if you're going to sub and turn that into an actual business, that is very, very key. Is your clients are now your boss. You think you don't have a boss because you're the owner, but I have more people I answer to now than I did when I was an employee. Because an employee, I just had one, maybe two people to answer to, the owner and whoever was running our crew. All the schedulers or the scheduler. Now I've got clients and owners and all my clients, and so I tell you what, it's a huge time killer on the other way. You know what I mean? I spent way more time than I ever did doing by the hour.
Did you see? Yeah. Is he able to be listed without insurance on Go Career because he doesn't want Jimmy to be the only 5 hammer rated guy on here? But there's 2 because Jerry McKnight was the first guy.
Yeah, Jerry McKnight was our first 5 hammer guy, and Jimmy now, and probably Kevin. I would just guess. I don't know what he's got in his tool belt, but to give you an idea, Kev, I am reaching out to get the master listed. So I got your text earlier. I'm going to get that done, and then I see that there's no need to carry it anymore. Yes, you can upload. It'll just show expired, and everybody will kind of, no one will want to hire you because you don't have insurance, but you're not looking for that. You just want to get your profile. That's one of the great, exciting things we're doing this year is you're going to be able to get just profile only, get your accreditation, and get that skill score. That's coming out in 2025. And we're doing some rebranding. I cannot wait to start leaking all this stuff out. So, all right. So we got a little five score fight going here. I love it. Thanks.
I don't know.
Thanks, brothers.
I don't know if we've ever talked about how you got started in the industry. Were you kind of like part-time, or was it just like straight in full-time?
Well, my pops always did carpet installations since the early 80s. So I pretty much would go with him every once in a while as a kid, just go pick up trash. He worked with another guy who did really great work, and I would go pick up trash and he would give me $5, and I was happy with $5. I was able to buy chips and candies and ice cream from the ice cream man. So little by little, I would hustle little rugs around the neighborhood, the little carpet feet, the infamous carpet feet that I make every once in a while, and that's how I would make my money. And he'd take me on the weekends and sometimes after school if needed, and I'd go help him out in high school and in middle school at some point. And that was just my way of making extra money and buying school clothes for the next year, because he wasn't going to buy me any Nikes or any polos or Tommies, Tommy Hilfiger. He was like, here's a $5 shirt, and I wanted the $70 shirt. So he was like, you want Nikes and you don't like Chuck's Converse, so you're gonna have to go work for that. So you know how money's
now
made.
Look at us trying to get
so
the
that made
$5
me
shirts.
a man.
Yep.
And now I'm reverse. I get the $5 Chucks or the $20 Chucks and $5 shirts. But no, but I mean, you buy certain things depending on your comfortability, and every once in a while I like to buy nice things just to have it. You never know.
Like the young kids say
when you need a nice shirt.
Say today you had to get that drip.
That drip, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
You guys hear me okay now? I moved my everything.
Yeah,
down.
you're sounding better now.
You sound better. We can still hear a little bit, but don't be shy to just jump right in.
So, this is about the side hustle, right? So, Daniel talked about when we started and then how we evolved into what we're doing today. But realistically, and Jorge just reminded me, the side hustle didn't start when we started doing flooring. The side hustle started when we were all younger. When Daniel was 12, I had that conversation with him about you want nicer things, our mom can't afford it. You want nicer things, you got to work for it. Almost killed the dude in the stairwell, making him contact everything. And like I had no shame. I worked in the school cafeteria at 11 years old to get making $3.65 an hour to get a paycheck that was my side hustle. Was just I always found a way to create my own income, whether it was bottles, collecting cans from the city, or cleaning up leaves, mowing lawns, working at the school, and starting in construction every weekend. That was the side hustle. Like, pick something up. Like, oh, you need help with a roof? I don't know how to do roofs, but I learned really fast. Oh, you need help with some floors? I just started doing flooring. You want me to come and do your step? And that's
the side hustle is a real thing. It's anything you could do to make a little bit of extra dough. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But when in flooring, I tell you what, when I was doing the side work I was still doing flooring as a full-time job, and I was doing side work for the designers, and I parlayed that into a business. It was pretty special. I made really good money for a 22-year-old kid. I had made, I'm 48 now. Oh no, I'm lying. I'm 49. And so when I was 22, that year, between my company, my hourly job, and my side hustle, I turned in. There may have been a little cash here and there, but I turned in about 60 grand in payment, which is probably like 105 now. I mean, it was a lot more money back in 2000, or actually that would have been 99 back in the 1900s.
Back in the 1900s.
It went a long way. Money went a longer way back then.
Yeah, you could buy 4 dozen
bags of chips were 99 cents.
Yeah, 99-cent penny candy, bro. Can't even get that anymore.
Yeah, now it's like $2.50 for a bag of chips, almost $3, $2.70 something.
Yeah, a full 2 liter of pop was $1. Full 2 liter of pop was $1.
48 cents for a 20-ounce Faygo. Well, you guys don't know what Faygo is probably, but
oh yeah,
48 cents. And then
gas was $1.
So how do you do this? And you are echoing. I just want to be fair to the audience. You are echoing still pretty bad. No, just if you got anything you can do. If not, just I just thought I'd tell you.
Are you hearing me, or are you? Is it just?
I'm hearing him, his own voice recycle. But how do we do this? What is some advice for guys who have, they've gotten pretty good on their own? And they want to turn it into either a real good side hustle, which is, there was weekends I'd make a couple $1,000 on just a weekend, and even today, that's actually pretty good money if you can go out by yourself or take your little brother or something and go bang out a couple grand. But if the audience doesn't hear the echo, then you're good to go. Maybe it's just, are you hearing it?
Maybe Jeremy just can't hear anything anyways.
That's possible too. So what's the first piece of advice from this panel on the side hustler wanting to go ahead and turn his side hustle into a career, either a career or a full-time business?
Well, I actually I'm going to pop this up on the screen because I seen it earlier on my Facebook. I think that kind of went really good with the theme today, right? Because you never know unless you just start. And that's how I think a lot of us did it. It was, you were just in a position where it's like, if I don't do it, I'm never going to do it. Sometimes you just got to jump right in.
Yeah, well, you out there in the audience had the benefit of the fact that we have already figured a lot of things out along the way, and we're here to share it with you. So that is 100% true. I believe that's how all of us got going. But I would say if I was going to do things different, I would very first thing while I still have a full-time job is sign up for some courses. I'd sign up for a training at CFI or AFT or NTCA, CTEF if you like tile, or the NWFA, and take a few online courses. And then if you still like it, get trained. That would be my first thing, because you still have a job that can cover your training costs, and then go off and once you get that, then you can have a bit of backbone to your sales when you're telling a customer, yeah, I know how to lay your carpet. I not only do I know how, I'm trained, I'm certified. And you can obviously the networks out with Go Carrera, you can get your score, and you got something that you can really leverage to get paid what you're worth. The second advice I'd say is, once you've done that, now know what you're worth and make sure you're asking for it. Don't be one of the, I'm gonna tick some people off maybe. Don't be one of them bottom feeders going down, just driving everybody else's labor costs down. Just
Right.
know what you're worth and go get that work for that.
That the guys who just worked because they want to be busy all the time. So Kevin
Yeah.
says use side jobs to try new things and develop skills. Side jobs is where he learned how to do different types of flooring than what he was typically installing at his 9 to 5. So that's 100% correct, right? And that typically that's friends and family. You're not going and trying to sell, entire houses or anything. You're just like, hey, my aunt needs these stairs done. Let me go see if I can do this. Let me try refinishing something.
And my God, how much of that was there? I mean, I remember how much of that is there. There's a ton of family and friends that'll call you and be like, "Hey, man, can you lay these stairs for me? Hey, I'm gonna get some new carpet for the the basement bedroom. Can you do that?" Just it's always there too. So and if you show yourself skilled, and you're not going back to your aunt's 3 times to re-kick in her carpet because you didn't power stretch a 15 by 20 room or something. You know what I'm saying? Then you can actually get paid what you're worth, and give your family and friends a deal. But at the
Right.
end of the day, when you go out into the market after you've gotten your initial training, make sure you're charging what you should. You're becoming a craftsman, so make sure to charge that. That doesn't mean you're going to get top dollar, but don't also do it for the friend fee forever.
Yeah, and like Ben says, it's like relatively low risk for lots of real world experience, and that's
Yeah, amen.
you
I got it yet? The echo's
sound
Ooh,
better now.
bro, you sound great.
I don't know
Welcome
what
back
happened.
to the crew.
I had to take it off default for some
I
reason.
love it.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Another thing is
Yeah, it's okay.
researching what tools you'll need for that side job. Like at least getting some money from your normal job and putting some aside for tools that might be needed in the future that you might need for that specific side job as well, because we all know it's hard to get all the tools at once. It might be expensive for certain people.
I mean,
That's a great point.
a lot of the tools are expensive, and that's why you start out with the cheaper stuff too, right? Especially when you're doing a side hustle. You don't want to go buy the best tool for what you're doing and then use it once and then never use it again.
I got some great advice for you.
Yeah.
Join the huddle and post,
Best advice ever.
"Hey man, I'm wanting to kick off my career. Who's got some used kickers, some used, tools that I can buy from them?" That I guarantee you, there's always flooring guys that got some old tools around that they'd probably part with, not the nostalgic ones, but some old tools they'll part with that they've replaced since.
Yeah, and
Jeremy has a good point there, that he says his family still thinks he overcharges when he still does it cheaper than he normally would, and that's something that I've it's happened to me, and a lot of my family doesn't call me to do some of their work because they think I'm going to charge them a whole lot more, but it's most of the times I'm doing it for free.
Yeah.
So I don't I don't know. My dad still helps some of my aunts and uncles, but none of my cousins have ever called for any work.
Hey, family's finicky, bro.
Don't even ask how much I charge.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
hard.
and maybe it's a good thing.
That's
Yeah.
one of those hard things. I did early on when I started, right, and I learned something new, a new technique. I did offer to my family to do things, right, and I never did it. I never did it with expectation of charging. I just did it, and then they would give me a little something afterwards, right? Because I was honest. I was like, hey, I'm learning how to do this. You already want this done. How about I practice here? Um,
Yeah.
and that's how I got more practice. And I don't know, maybe that's just me being a little bit too helpful, I guess. But it's
No, it's all good. You just paid for some more experience, you know, in essence. You did it for free and you got the experience. Kevin points out another good point is that the experience you get from just doing a measurement and putting a quote together for your family or figuring out a number, even if it's just a verbal
Yeah.
quote you give them, even that helps you when you go full time. I know that. Go ahead.
I said I know that that helps too. Like, and I'm going to use the same experience, right? For family is I know that I was trying to save them money, right? So you kind of minimize the amount of material and like, oh, I'll just put a head seam here, a head seam there, and we'll save you on material so you don't have to buy and have a 10 by 10 left over. Um, you learn what you don't want to do in the long run by doing things
And
like
you get
that.
really good at putting T seams together.
Yeah, you get way better instead of 10 piecing a 8 foot by 1 foot fill piece. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's some great advice on how to get going and get out in front of the tools you're going to need. Get out in front of you know the training, making sure you get trained and certified. And then you got the housekeeping side. What's up, Ralph? Um, then you got the housekeeping side, and this is the business side. So one thing that I always encourage people is personal development is important and learning how to talk and deal with customers. If you can get that down, you will be surprised at how much more money you'd make. I was really good at that and I still am. I still love my customers. I love dealing with them. I love helping them. It's a part of enjoyment for me. So learning that, and then you got the good old nuts and bolts of um, getting an EIN, you know, opening up that business, get with an attorney, open up your separate entity if you can. If you can't, you're going to go sole proprietor. That's fine too. Just make sure you do get taxes are the number one thing that I still hear and I still see guys getting in trouble with that gets them into a scenario where they're willing to scrub for money or you know they'll do just about anything just to work for somebody because they've gotten themselves in a situation where if they have a bank account they got to take cash or else the IRS is
Right.
going to take all their stuff. It's not the best
That's
position to be in, so make sure you get your
a very good
taxes
point
right
right there.
and insurance.
Um,
that's
so I will
that's the
add
other
to that
thing.
too, and this is a life lesson that I learned the hard way, is if you do decide to go on your own and you want to partner up with someone, um, make sure you understand who you're partnering up with and what they might be involved with. Because for instance, I had a gentleman I partnered up with a long time ago, you know, before Preferred, and he child support. The government could come and take whatever money you have if his name is on the documents or their name. So make sure that when you're partnering up, there's a clear line, or you don't want to put anybody's name on any paperwork that could take your funds. Is pretty much what it was. That was
Yeah, I mean
a mistake
that
on my
boils
part.
down to making sure you partner with good people. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Ralph Falavino. He's the new CFI Executive Vice President, I believe is the term.
That's
And
it.
he has that dude's a ball of energy, man. I met him at Tice and welcome aboard to CFI, my man. And it was great
Yes,
hanging
sir.
out with you and meeting you in
It
Las
was.
Vegas.
We're gonna have to schedule a deep dive with them and bring them on and
Yeah,
see
very
what
soon.
And look,
kind of
man,
talk about transition and stuff.
Raphael sounds a lot better than Ralph, man. Just go by Raphael. That's way better.
Rafael.
In
Mhm.
here.
I didn't
All
know
right,
you're an
so
attorney.
In here for now.
once you guys once you get going, do you agree that you need to probably get a bank account, insurance, and get a turn or a accountant for taxes, like those three things in line ahead of time? Because I think that I got lucky when I opened my company. I had a partner that kind of knew that stuff. I don't know that I would have known to do that, to be 100% honest. I started my
We
company
did
when I
not
was 20,
know to
22.
do that. We did not know to do that, and we were one of those one of those. They just turned light off on us. But we were one of those companies that didn't keep. We weren't good at bookkeeping. We weren't keeping track of anything. That's one thing is get some sort of bookkeeping software to manage your
Yeah,
stuff
not
and
no
ask
black
questions.
market software, like legit software.
Well,
Like
if you can, I'll tell you what, if you at least track it, if nothing else, on an Excel spreadsheet.
or Google Sheets, right?
Sales,
Google Sheets is free.
sales, yeah, Google Sheets is free. Sales, expenses, at least track that. You know what I'm saying? Um, Jorge, did you have the foresight to kind of get those things in line before you got going, or did you kind of learn along the way as well?
I learned along the way, and it was kind of forced into it because I work with a lot of wholesalers, and a lot of the builders, decorators, and designers. They'll ask for that, especially the builders. They're gonna ask, "Hey, do you carry general liability?" And I need so much. I need it to be this amount because everybody is different. So yeah, that was something that I had to get early on. And the funny thing is, my dad and I have worked together for a long time, and I tend to keep most of my stuff a little bit more organized. But he was working with Lowe's, I believe, and we were paying insurance through Lowe's, and we were also paying separate general liability. I'm sorry, general liability through Lowe's, general liability on the side for my stuff. So we were paying kind of in a sense double insurance. So those are certain things that you got to look at. They're expenses and you need them anyway. Nobody's gonna
Mhm.
let you work without them. I can't use the general liability that I had through him at Lowe's, so I had to use my own. So you gotta understand that these are expenses that the business is gonna take.
And you need it. And
Yeah,
insurance will come through for you. I mean, it's came through for me several times, from my most recently cybersecurity insurance. You don't know you need it until you absolutely need it. And I just wanted to touch on Kevin's comment here, saying, he can't say enough. You can't say enough about taxes. It's the biggest mistake installers make when starting their own business. I've counseled with many installers that have worked for our company by the hour, and then went out and started their sub business. And that's the first thing I tell them, man. You have got to make sure you're covering your taxes. You can, like, if you're behind, at least know you're behind. You know, like,
well,
crap happens, things happen, you get behind, whatever. You can call the IRS or the state or
They
whoever, and kind of,
they they'll
deal
set you
with
up on a
them.
payment plan.
yeah, they
Yeah,
will.
but do not run from them, and do not just ignore them. Those are the two attitudes towards it that will get you really bitten. I mean, there's been plenty of times in my career that I got behind on, particularly on income tax or something like that, and I had to pay it, like, some penalties and interest, 6 months late or whatever. That's just,
Yep.
that happens here and there. But I tell
Even
you
even
what,
us with sales tax, that happened to me like one time last year where I was like, oh man, I'm like 2 days late, and then you because they give you a discount if you pay it early. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know, $6, but if you're one day late, it's like $115.
yeah.
Yeah, don't be late. And so
Yeah,
the
paying
the
those
the
things on
whole
time is important.
the whole taxes thing too. Like, even if look, you're 1099, you essentially own your own business. You might just be DBA versus LLC or anything like that, right? You get a lot of practice as proprietor with a 1099 for your taxes. And you're right, Paul, that some people fly under the radar and some people do not. Some people are stupid and call the IRS and say, hey, I might owe you guys some money, and then hire a lawyer and then fire the lawyer after spending a bunch of money and then just dealing with them ourselves. It is an easy phone call. It is an easy phone call.
At least you made the phone call. I know guys that don't make the phone call until it's so too late that they don't know what to do. I've got a friend of mine that got into a sticky sitchy. He finally faced it, got an attorney, and he's going to be able to mitigate the years of I guess best way to call it's neglect. Don't hate me if you're hearing this, but whatever it is, facing it, like dealing with it, or at least know that you need to deal with it. Just ignoring it is the worst thing, is my point. And another thing is how many good installers get destroyed by this thing. That is what I want to bring out in Kevin's comment the most. Like, great installers, guys that are really good with their hands and not good with the business side. I keep seeing where people are asking for a business course. I have frameworked, and I think I'm just going to launch something this year, something cheap and easy for someone to take. And I've put an accountant friend of mine that has helped me throughout my entire business. He's acted as our company's CFO before, and put a decent little product together for you guys. If you're interested in that, hit me up and let me know that you are. I don't want to go through the exercise, but I'd be happy to put together a little product. Or we're also going to be launching for the Huddle this year is an education series. And so we could hit that in the education series on our webinars, and we're going to bring in experts on this. We have a lot of Daniel, Jose, Jorge, we all have a lot of experience in dealing with this stuff, but we won't give you direct advice because we don't want to get sued. But at the end of the day,
right, we can only tell you what we went through and what we did. We can't say that's the best thing, that this is what you should do. It's everything is
we don't know your particular situation, so it's different for each person. So I think I've seen this on about 1,000 YouTube channels. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. What we are is some experienced business owners that have been through both good and bad times, and can kind of give you some guidance to maybe just see some of these pitfalls. You're not going to avoid all of them. I still learn I'm going through a season of learning right now. So like, it's just part of being in business. You're always going to learn new things, but hopefully you have somebody ahead of you that can kind of chart the path and help you not have to, fall every single time we did. If we can help you, fall 50% less, I feel like we're doing you a big favor and providing you value here on the Huddle.
Right. And don't take away from the fact that sometimes people need to fail or fall. Let's say fall, right? Let's say people need to fall so they can understand that it's okay to fall down and get back up and push forward, because the experience of it is a better teacher than someone preaching it, no matter if they're an expert or not.
Yeah, well, you got to go through. Thanks, Jimmy. I think that at the very least, what we could do is, even if we shoot it through the webinars, we'll make sure those are really done in studio professionally on the education series for those topics, and then package that back in that people can have access to later. If they miss the webinar, have a product that they can, get their hands on to maybe help them. Roland says, when you stop learning, you will learn you don't know it all. I think that goes back to that old saying, what did I say, Jorge? The smartest guy in the guy that thinks he's the smartest guy in the room is the dumbest, or some shit like that. How's it go? It's something like that. Like, if you think you're the smartest guy in the room, then you're not, or whatever.
I can't
right?
remember,
I mean,
but
that's the bottom
yeah,
line.
it's somewhere
Well, you
along
don't
those
want to be the
lines.
smartest guy in the room. Yeah.
And real quick,
That's for
getting
sure.
back to the taxes thing, the IRS. It's funny you say that. It's till you fail. When I was young in my mid 20s, I had a side hustle which was bar backing. I still got a 1099, but I didn't pay taxes. Well, I paid taxes, but something ended up happening where I did something different, and they gave me a big refund. And then later on, they questioned it. They said, "Hey, we gave you too much money. We need that back." And I was like, "Well, I already spent the money," kind of thing. And I did ignore them for about a year and a half or two. And on that cause, and they came back after a while, and I had a CD account with my mom joint where she put me on a CD account, and they took out the money, and they charged me fees for taking out the money as well on top of the interest. So yeah, my mom was just like, "Hey, they took out this money, the IRS sent a letter, and it's because of you, so you owe me money now." And there's nothing worse in the world than
Yeah.
me owing my parents money. I just don't like ever borrowing money from them, and I
Right.
won't ever hear the end of it.
Yeah, especially like that, huh?
But still, I will add to
Yeah.
that too. Like when you're going through an accountant, a CPA, or even if you're doing your taxes yourself, you can still put insurance and all of that, right? That way, if somebody's wrong, I mean, you submitted everything they asked for, and if they miscalculated, that's what they have insurance for. That's their fault. Um, so there's ways to help out with that, and you're right about that. Sometimes as a 1099, you actually owed money, and you'll be surprised if you're avoiding paying taxes or at least filing them because you're a 1099. You'll be surprised. Some of those years that I ended up owing money on was because of penalties, interest, and fees. Because originally they were supposed
For
to
just
get
not
for
filing.
just not filing. Correct. Like I was supposed to get a refund, and me not understanding that, or it put me in a bad spot. And I also was not generating a net wealth, right? Like I to the banks, I was making
You're just
zero
giving it
dollars.
all to the
Yeah,
IRS.
well, I was looking like I was making $0 too. So when going and applying for loans and getting a car or a house and all that was very hard when it looked like you make $0 a year.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be that's probably a longer term topic, but I'll tell you that's something you learn as a business owner, going and buying things, especially like personal things like homes. You got to then provide not only your W-2s if you pay yourself like I do a salary, but then you got to provide your company's financials for the last 3 years if you are over a 25% owner of that company. So that's just business stuff. Getting with an accountant to me is key. There's a lot of small accountants in just about every town. And Roland also fixed my saying. He didn't say it all the way, but the saying is, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. That's
I think you're smart
that's what I
person in the
was
room.
trying to say.
You're dumb.
So
I like the way you said it
and,
there.
yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But there you go. You know where I fall in that whole category of things.
Kevin says he's seen the IRS collect from the owner of a company for taxes owed by a sub. So
Whoa.
I've never personally
Yeah,
seen that.
If they were
I
classified
have
as an
not
employee.
ever seen that.
So that's another thing
Well,
too.
the thing is,
Is
if they're misclassified, that can
Right.
happen. If they're paying them or treating them like they're an employee, but paying them like a sub, and then and the IRS determines you're misclassified that employee as a sub, then yeah, you are.
And I think that's one of the misconceptions is that people think that they get to decide when everything is written on the IRS website that you can go to right now and look up, and they'll give you, and if you're unsure, you can write them. They'll give you a determination, right? Answer these questions. We'll let you know if they're a sub or an employee.
100%.
Yeah, so don't get ruined. Kevin brought it up. We've all talked about it. I've seen a lot of really good guys get in really bad trouble and like almost stop their career because, and it's really sad when the guy's really good at it, and that's like the one thing he's really good at. And I have witnessed this. Like what's he gonna do? where's he going to go make the money he can make in flooring? And he can't. And so then he's doing flooring cheaper because he wants to be paid under the table or, paid cash. And that's about gone. I mean, we never did that as a company, but I think even the companies that did that recently, that's just about gone. Cash is almost out. They track it so much now electronically that you're missing, $10,000 in cash out of your checking account. They know it, man. You're not going to get away with
I think
this.
a couple of years ago, I had a gentleman ask me
Stay
about
legal,
that.
my
He's
friends.
like, could I come and work for you for this much money? Just pay me under the table. And I said, what do you mean? You want me to pay your taxes for you? No, just pay me under the table. I'm like, I'm not going to be responsible for your taxes, bro. Like, don't.
I don't even know what that means anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even know how.
That's because we track everything. Like you said, like if I'm missing this much out of the bank account, I have to say that it went somewhere. Where's this stuff going?
Yeah, it's got to go somewhere.
It's not just disappearing.
Yeah, it's got to get coded into your accounting system. Like, there's just not many good ways to do that anymore. So keep yourself legal and keep yourself out of trouble. I think that we'll really focus on some of this in our upcoming educational series of webinars, and
I don't know.
have Jorge,
The timing of these phone calls every podcast.
maybe if you're willing, Jorge, we can even get those translated into Spanish for the audience.
Definitely, that would be great.
Yeah. What do you think from your side, Jorge, and you guys? What do you think is the biggest challenge for, our Hispanic community? Do you think it's access to? And I'm not talking about anybody being here illegally. I'm just talking about in general. Spanish is their first language, not English. What particular issues are they dealing with when it comes to, kind of running a business and doing their business?
Well, one thing that
go ahead.
Yeah, one thing that a lot of guys in the Hispanic community, it really hurts them, and this is a must, is just general liability. They don't understand that you need some of this stuff. And we were talking about that earlier, how it's very necessary, but some people find that as just an expense that they're like, why am I having to set up my own business and pay general liability? So that's one of the main things that I hear everywhere. And it's like these guys are trying to get away from this stuff, and you can't. And a lot of the times it's something real minimal. If you just do carpet, it's going to be basic, anywhere between $850 all the way up to $1,700. Once you start getting into wood
For the
year, once you start getting into ceramic and maybe wood, it's probably going to be a little bit more. But most of the times I'm like, that's really nothing. If you're really working, you're picking up a lot of jobs, and that's going to be real basic, because if not, you can't pick up those jobs anyway. Some of these people are going to demand that from you and say, hey, and some people will trick you. You'll go in, they're going to be real nice, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? Can you do this job for me? Can you start this day? Yeah, no problem. I've learned to say, hey, any kind of paperwork you have, you need to send it to me before I start the job, because I'm going to send you an email, let you know I'm starting the job. You need to have that paperwork sent over to me. And a lot of these guys won't send the paperwork because they think you don't have general liability, or they might think you might not have one of these things. But at the end of the day, you still have to get it in order for them to pay you. So if you don't have it and they don't tell you, you're going to be last minute trying to get this general liability from somewhere, and you're really not going to see any pricing. You're just going to go with the first one because you want to get paid. So you're going to have to pay whatever they're going to expect from you. So that's one thing that I noticed.
I was going to bring up a point to that is, in commercial, they have to show, like we have to show that our subs are covered and that we're covered. We have to list our sub suppliers and all that when we do commercial work. Now we don't have to do it on every job, but our bigger jobs, we have to show them our major labor suppliers. So our major subs. So it's just almost impossible to not have it. And I'll tell you a quick story. It just happened here in the last year. Our truck, our delivery driver and one of our subs was delivering tile into a building, and they damaged the storefront going into a school. It was like $6,000. And, you know, if there's no general liability there to pay for that, you know, that sub who was kind of the main reason the accident happened would have had to pay that out of pocket. You know,
Yeah.
$6,000, that'll pay for your general liability insurance if you're just you and another guy for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, man. I mean, it just is not worth it. And you don't need something like that or taxes. And that's why I put those two at the very top of the list when it came to like housekeeping, like the back end of owning a business, because those two will take you out of business.
Yeah.
If you don't have the proper insurance or you don't have your taxes taken care of, those two things can take you out of business and make it difficult for you to ever enter the business
Yeah,
again.
and for commercial, it's a given. Like you're gonna need it. But a lot of guys that do residential, because I'm mainly residential, they try to get away with that, or they'll try to work direct with a homeowner and try to avoid those fees. But then again, you're only gonna get so many people that are gonna call you direct. You still have a lot of other people that are gonna call you to do some work, and you have to fill out paperwork and fill out contracts, and then they're gonna expect for you in the fine print to have your general liability. So some of these guys try to avoid that, and you know, it's up to the person. You can go your whole life avoiding it, but then you're gonna miss out on a lot of good work out there. Commercial and
It's the
residential are real
opportunities that
different. Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
And I will say, to add to that whole thing is, for one, the question that you had asked and Jorge answered was resources, right? Like, if there's a language barrier, or if there's someone that comes to the U.S. and is starting a business, it's resources and understanding how to utilize and create the right template for them to start their business and to succeed. That is, and this is not coming from me. I sit on a council, the Mosaic Council here in Grand Rapids, and it's a conglomerate of different ethnicities and backgrounds, and people from all over the world that come in and start businesses, and they all face the same problems regardless of who they are. Two is the understanding that.
So just let me interrupt you for a second. Would you say that your local chamber is a good resource to just
100%.
like start there?
100%.
Okay.
Local chambers are
Yeah,
good
that's what
resource.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
I don't know the episode, but we did a episode with our local chamber, so you can get back on that one and kind of see what they offer too.
yeah, and that's inside information from them. We had a representative from the chamber on there. Two is, you heard us mention something about the insurance, right? Like an expense, and it takes. Look, it's not easy, but you have to look at some expenses as investments, right? If I invest in insurance and I invest in coverage to protect me and my clients, potential clients, and employees, or people riding with me, I'm investing in me and my group. In turn, you're going to get a return, because it's that one time that you're not prepared for that, like Paul had said, $6,000 out of pocket. Like, I can't imagine some of the things that that could happen and what would cost. We had Jeremy that worked with us dumped our demo machine. Oh my goodness. We have family here who obviously don't know how to use a light switch. But he dumped the machine.
But yeah, you're right.
We would have had to pay out of pocket a ridiculous amount of money to replace all the parts that were broken. One of our delivery guys hit our building.
It wasn't our delivery guy.
Well, he wasn't even, yeah.
A delivery
A
guy.
deli-
Well, those types of things are can also be covered in your auto insurance, right? If you hit it with a vehicle. This was a hand truck in the example I was giving. I want to touch on Roland. This was going to be the last subject that I brought up, was work comp and what your guys' thoughts are about work comp. And because work comp in our state, if you have one employee, you have to have work comp insurance. So if you're a subcontractor or you're working for shops, you have to have work comp on that person. Now you can exclude yourself as the owner. You could still you can exclude yourself forever as an owner, although that's kind of part of the debate. I wanted to see if anybody agreed or disagreed, or where you stood on that. Do you think you should exclude yourself as the owner, or do you include yourself as the owner?
I think
I personally
there's other
exclude myself
options
as the
out
owner. Texas is
Okay.
real different. You can waive it here. I'm not sure how it is in other states, but they're real lenient on that. So I'm able to go ahead and waive it, and I've been doing it for years.
On
Yeah,
yourself.
myself.
On
Yeah,
yourself. Yeah. But if you have an employee, you still have to have it in Texas too,
yeah. We
correct?
have a partnership, my father and I. So
We
technically, he exempts himself, and I exempt myself. So
Sure. Yeah, you're both
mhm.
owners, but if just a pure employee, you'd have to cover
Yeah,
you'd have to have both
yeah, and
covered,
that's
I mean.
why
Yeah.
I've not branched out and gotten more employees. One,
Yeah.
I don't have enough work for them to stay on a regular basis. It would be more seasonal. So yeah, it's just us two, and whatever we can push, that's where we're gonna push, and I'm pretty happy with that. I don't want to expand any much bigger than I am anyway.
not right
Yeah.
now, anyways, right?
Yeah, it's a little tough. It's a little tough to expand
there.
here. It's hard to keep the guys on.
Can we have to exclude ourselves as comp even as employees of our own business over here?
Yeah,
Okay, so and Paul, you're saying that you have the option to.
You have
we don't
to.
have to.
So
You have the
we
option to
Right.
exclude yourself as owners.
so
And do you exercise that
We
option?
do.
we do, but we have a separate
Yeah.
policy.
I think most business owners do.
Well, you got to ask yourself this question: if say something happens, you get hurt, are you gonna go back on your own comp policy, or are you gonna?
Well, this is the question. It depends. Really, this is where the debate actually comes in, and some experts believe you should cover yourself because no matter what type of insurance you have, it's going to go up if you have a major accident. Your regular health insurance, you go have a major accident next year, it's going up. But if you have a large, so for example, some people have very large deductible, more like catastrophic insurance to cover if it's a major thing. If you have that and you're on work comp, you have a large gamut of your health and healthcare coverage outside of like prescriptions and those kinds of things. But like the stuff that really costs you and can kind of, put you down, a lot of that's covered between those two policies, and then it's pretty cheap, especially if you are not, out there installing every day. So I've heard it both ways. I've exempted myself for the entirety of my business. Kind of understand why some business owners don't, especially if they're out there really working their business. If I was subbing again and out in the field all the time, I probably, hindsight 2020, would not exclude myself.
And I think that's the thing, right? You just have to weigh if it's going to be beneficial for you. Like Kevin says, what are the benefits? It's being covered, like you said, and not just relying on the one source insurance. If your health insurance is going up, or if you can get other ways to pay things like that, then that's what you can do.
Particularly if you have a family and your health insurance goes up for your entire family because of your deal that could have been covered on work comp. And then it's a business expense still. So there's that side of it, right? When you're paying your work comp, that's a business expense. It's not a business expense to pay for you to buy yourself health insurance. So if you do have health insurance and you are paying that, that's not like a business expense that's deductible off your taxes. So get with your accountants and your attorneys on these things. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but it makes sense that if you are paying work comp insurance and you're included, that is a pure business expense. And if that goes up, at least your personal life, your personal income that you take from your company is not impacted when your health insurance is.
And just know that workers' comp starts off this big, especially in the construction industry.
Yeah.
But the longer you go and you're making sure, you're keeping track of your safety and you're trying not to get claims and stuff like that, it does go down.
Yeah.
And there are companies out there that do help create handbooks and give you insight as to what to incorporate for safety to help your costs go down as well.
Yeah, your liability insurance will give you that stuff because they want you to be
Yep.
safe. They don't want you to have accidents either and have to pay out on a claim. So, there's a lot of resources on safety. Wow. Okay, so we burned up an hour here telling people how they can turn their side gig of flooring into a long-term business. So check us out. Go check out the Huddle. Remember, these topics come from you guys. So if you have a topic that you want us to cover or get an expert on, or you'd like to have an expert opinion on, we have access to those people, and we often have guests on the podcast for those purposes. So let us know what topics you want us to cover. If you're catching us on any of the social platforms or any of our podcast platforms, leave a like, a subscribe, make sure to,
Share it with everyone.
and share it with
everyone.
Share it with everyone. Share. Give us some love. You guys are why we do this. It's the support that you guys give us that allows us to do this every single week. I want to thank Jorge for joining us today. He is the host of the Huddle en Español. So he does it. What is it? Once a quarter? Am I right on that?
Yes, once every quarter, and it's coming up next week, I believe.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah. So make sure if you are a Spanish speaker, jump on Jorge's podcast. The Spanish version of the Huddle. We've got some good stuff coming out this next year that's going to support him a little bit better as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope it was, maybe not awe-inspiring, but maybe a little eye-opening to make sure that you can see why you need that work comp, or why you need that liability, I should say, why you need to make sure you're covering your taxes, and, check those boxes, man. You'll be a lot happier 10 years down the road.
Yes,
Final
sir.
thoughts?
Final thought for me is document your guys' processes from day one, right? That's going to change.
Oh, that's great.
Document everything. Document all of that. Like if you have a specific way of doing things and it works for you, write it down, document it, create a system.
Especially because later on, you think you don't have time when you first start, you really are not going to have time later on.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, don't forget your commercial vehicle insurance too.
Yes. Yes.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah, get that. Let's stay legal eagle here, guys. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I appreciate all the comments. It was a really great participation today. Had a lot of guests, a lot of live viewership today. So that was awesome. Appreciate you, Jorge, as usual. Daniel and Jose, I appreciate you guys so much. It was great hanging out with you last week. And we'll catch you guys. We will catch Jorge next week.
Nos vemos la próxima semana.
All right. See you guys.
What he said.
Thank you, everyone.